Hey guys, welcome to another episode of We Are VR Troopers. Last time, the war has actually started. The Grimlord just got word from the Turbo Techies that they're planning a full-blown assault on virtual reality. So the war has begun. Instead of dealing with just mutant after mutant, like day after day, week after week, it's a full-scale assault. And rather than using tactics, they were using brute force, which resulted in Grimlord's favor. So Tyler has actually introduced Cheetah as the new 4th Trooper. So, with that out of the way, let's get this over with. Alright, here we are, episode 95, Make Way for the Cheetah. Once heard this oldie when I was a kid. At first I thought it sounded like it was saying the cheetah, but after listening to it more I realized it was actually saying the cheater instead. It was by Bob Kuban and the Inmen, actually. Cheetah continued to admire her new VR avatar, which had similar traits to a cheetah, almost like her namesake. Meanwhile, the mutants were still intercepting blindly into battle, with Grimlord obviously having the upper hand, and Tyler Steele had just returned to the lab. He told the troopers, especially Ryan, that he's been to many places that research in VR technology, including Norway, where his former teacher, Dr. Daniel Jacobson, and his daughter Lori were, as well as Tokyo, Vancouver, even the Quest compound in Maine. He's found another mentor known as Dr. Benton Quest, and his vast creation of Quest World was unique and incredible. It turned out that virtual technology exists in other places, and they must stop Grimlord now before it evolves immensely. Specifically, before the advent of the new millennium, where virtual world would become a full-fledged universe, in other words, cyberspace. Wow, so virtual technology does exist. It's being developed throughout the world, and it'll soon be all around us. Let's not forget about the internet. Can't wait to see what that'll have in store. I'm so sick of using the Ethernet and landlines. It is so yesterday. Indeed it will, Ryan. That is why we must pull the plug on Grimlord now before he becomes unsurmountably powerful, before all forms of VR technology will become more prominent. And eventually cyberspace will bend under his will. There's no time to waste. Cheetah! Looks like a deer in headlights. I will need your powers to assist us in this fight. We should go too, Dad, just until she gets the hang of it. His father was about to say something until an alarm went off. Battle grid alert! Prepare for battle grid mode. I'll go with Cheetah on this one. You guys stay with my dad and monitor the war. Be careful and take care of Cheetah. I will. Ready, Cheetah? You bet, Ryan. She was so thrilled on having her mentor come along. How can it get any better than this? Although I should warn you, if any of you should fail to defeat the Skugs in the battle grid, you would be lost in there forever. I'm aware of that, Dad. Won't let anything happen to her. While the duo transformed and then vanished, there was a prolonged silence, except in Caitlin and JB pondering for their safe return. Tyler seemed to wear a guilty expression, although he's a bit relieved that Ryan was away, as he was hesitant to explain to him about something. Detecting tense brainwaves. Thanks, Galileo. Hey, what's wrong? Is it Cheetah? Or the mutants? Troopers, there is something that's going to be very hard to explain. I'm glad Ryan's not here to listen to this. What is it, Tyler? You can tell us. After another brief pause, he later revealed that Grimlord is actually Carl Zichter in his VR avatar. Nobody was able to make the connection, nor thought it was him, although Hart suspected as such. Then again, it wasn't too much of a surprise, as they saw Carl himself, rarely in person, always polluting and corrupting the city. It was not really a shocker, since Tyler, Carl, and Horatio were specialists in VR technology. Then all of a sudden the box of ISIS got in the way and complicated matters, causing Zichter to grow more in power, use his VR avatar for the first time, and become an arch-rival to the group, nearly killing Hart in the process with his incredible abilities. After over a decade of waiting, Tyler finally put the pieces together thanks to some awesome mutants, the General and Razor Kid. It all started when the War Slammers coach heard of the troopers' archaeological journey. Ryan had been researching an explorer named Nebraska Smith, although Cheetah, needless to say, had no interest since she said it was too complicated and way out of her league. Through that statement alone, that was when she made the call to the General, and he sent Razor Kid along because he felt going to another dimension was very risky. So he only resorted to him. No heroics, which was unlikely, no better timing since Ryan, and conveniently enough, Doom Master showed up. Caitlin, JB, and Nebraska were petrified, and Jeb broke the professor's news. After the two brawlers were heading to the Indigo sector, Ryan managed to solve the lethal puzzle made for intruders. He was then ambushed by Despera, and Kid was left out of the picture again. So the quarterback found out from an old dusty chest containing a neon green hue and a large rock with huge blemishes containing Grimlord's true identity. Sadly, Ryan left them behind since Caitlin and JB were still petrified by two halves of a mysterious shell that Doom Master used and that Desperate dropped during combat. As Razor Kid examined the face of Grimlord, he opened the lid, and an energy beam hit him at dead center, knocking him out cold as Ryan was dealing with Hydrabot. By the time he was awakened, however disoriented, the gateway to the dimension was being sealed forever, and the puzzle itself had turned to dust as soon as everyone escaped. Grimlord's real human identity is none other than Carl Sector. We need to look for a settlement, Sector Industries, and enter it. It was all happening so fast that I wasn't able to tell it was him until the General and Kid unveiled it. Soon after, Ryan and Cheetah returned victoriously. He explained she was at a losing streak until the mutants, Clot and Kid, arrived in the nick of time. Blood Clot and Razor Kid are with you guys? Great! I'll contact them. Can you send them a link, Professor? Will do, Tyler. A few minutes later, the superhuman and the dragon were displayed. They greeted him, and Tyler gave them the lowdown. The misfits tried with their associates, but the General and the War Slammers had their hands full. You guys need to find a rip through the reality barrier. I'm going in after them. Dad, no! I must do it, son. To monitor the war directly. Clot was at a loss for words. Kid tried to talk some sense. But Tyler! No arguments now. This isn't the time nor the place. You guys promised me you'd look out for me after I was rescued by the troopers. So this would be your assignment. Wait a minute. You're not just gonna go out there without some VR equipment. Which is why I need Cheetah. She would be a perfect distraction. Distraction? But I'm just starting out. Brute force can only escalate the problem. We need tactics to outmaneuver Grimlord. There's too much heat. We can't let the VR troopers intervene just yet unless we dwindle their numbers. If anything should go awry, she can always return to our reality. Alright, but if anything should happen to you two, get out. We'll be keeping an eye on you guys from here. Galileo has set the location. Together, Cheetah and Tyler found a rip into Clot's and Hart's coordinates and went through it while being escorted by the Road Warrior, along with Scary Ice and a few others such as Motar, Bomber, Assault, Dawkins, Shotgun, and Nelson. Master Grimlord, a VR trooper has entered our reality. Excellent, Despera. We will show the techies what they're truly made for, to divide and conquer the mutants, and soon these meddling troopers. There's more to it, sire. It is Cheetah, and she has gathered herself with the other mutants. Send an assault team down there now. We should clip their wings and never let them soar too high to victory. Do whatever is necessary to eliminate them. Understood. Once we seize the novice trooper, they will be as weak as kittens. Her loss will be our gain. They emerged in a desolate battleground. With the war raging in the distance, there were so many weapons firing and a lot of shouting. Teller functioned as another effective general. The other head coaches, such as Briska, Trickster, Madness, and Bones, worked more indirectly as they led their own teams, providing tactical advantages while the general did strategic ones. First off, Tyler whispered to Cheetah to stay put as he assigned some of the best kickers against Grimlord's aerial attackers, the killer helicopter air striker and fighter bot, the humanoid jet. Moments later, after he gave the other coaches his plans, he ordered to wire the footballs and wait for the diversion underneath the thick canopy. Clock figured it was insane going low ground, as one collision with branches can make the balls explode, destroying everyone in the process. Risk was part of the game, he said. There they are. There they are. Tyler and Cheetah are hard to see, but according to my thermal scans, they're beneath some thick trees. The location was put into view, and everyone saw the two volatile air forces circling around, firing lethal laser at the mutant armies, causing some collateral damage. I'll transform in some of the Blue Hawk to help us out. I got another idea. Cheetah and the mutants will help us clear the way. Professor, are her powers ready? Her abilities are fully functional. She can activate them now. Cheetah, I want you to wait for my signal. You see these goons flying around? Yeah, I think so. Okay, I want you to go with the mutants as soon as I give the go-ahead. Run as fast as you can and never look back. They will run right beside you. Don't be afraid. We have everything covered. Just believe in what you can do. Everyone, use your super speed to run alongside Cheetah. We will distract Fighterbot and Air Striker, allowing the kickers to have all the fun. We must make a preemptive strike on Grimlord's forces. Is that understood? You will tire out in a minute, so use it well. She was quivering from top to bottom, but she knew in her heart she can do it, just like her friends would. Air Striker was looming closer overhead. Go, now! Cheetah went first, then came the mutants. With 3 seconds of running, Cheetah's VR powers were activated as she gained speed, going as fast as 60 miles per hour. Her allies followed suit using their super speed, just like rushing toward the end zone before making a touchdown. They were all hurrying to the other side where more thick canopies awaited them at the other side as they were heading toward it on a smooth, skinny pathway. At first, Cheetah was a bit terrified by the sudden increase in speed, but after a few moments, it was exhilarating. Targets in range! It shot a volley of lasers and a few missiles, but due to their enhanced running distance, they were a near miss. As soon as they reached the point underneath the shade, they all skidded to a stop on their feet. They were burning from the sudden halt, but the experience itself was so thrilling, to say the least. The decoy was successful, accompanied by mutants covering her, though Stryker was still in the pursuit for them, worrying the troopers. Now, kickers, take them down! Elsewhere in the war zone, several other monsters watched the two pilots circle around the targets, though they had no cover, and another superhuman led the fray on a tall cliff. You heard the man! Let's do it! They were shot down, however, Fighterbot collided toward the high precipice, causing a shock. Then the airships came out of nowhere and shot the summit, and the overzealous kickers fell to their demise. Meanwhile, the general was observing far away, and he contacted Tyler as angry as ever. Who gave the order to attack from out of the open? No order, sir. Some of the guys got cocky and disobeyed. This is bad. This is very bad. They've sent the attack drones. We got to stop them from making any more casualties. Victory cannot be in Grimlord's hands. So much for the foolproof plan. He was quite fumed by some of his best and some of the worst teammates by staying on open high ground where they could be vulnerable to aerial attacks. Cheetah and the other linebackers noticed the airspace was clear from where they stood. Coast is clear! Those crazy kickers have eradicated the air bogies. I can't wait to clobber more of Grimlord's cronies. They're no match for us. Come on, let's head back to our brave leader. No need, mutants. I'm right here. It was Tyler. Y'all saw him within the woods as the alien embarrassedly tried to take back his snarky forked tongue. Well done, Cheetah. She grew ecstatic, saying he should have seen her. He already has and congratulated the mutants, though Scary Eyes wasn't convinced as he gave him a doubtful stare. Hey! Shouldn't you have been on the other side of the pathway with your old buddies? How did he get here so fast? He doesn't have super speed like us. Wait a minute. He threw a nearby rock. Cheetah, stay away! It's nothing but a disguise. He's not Tiger of Steel, but It was Master. The alien hissed. I should have known it was you! And I thought I was the one that makes life forms get the jitters. I'm Scary Eyes! Nice to meet you. Your prestigious plan is slipped from your fingers like butter. Bring me the girl, and no one should get maimed. He cowered into them. Never! Never! We won't give up by the likes of you! Very well. Vixens! Take her away. We will deal with the meddlesome trio later. Grimlord will be pleased once we are through with her, and they would be at our mercy. The lethal team marched up to the opposing group and started a free-for-all. It was 5 against 7, but they really became too much for the intimidated linebackers. One of them told her to skedaddle, but Doom was close on her trail. Cheetah scampered to her feet and ran out of the dark thicket, but the tall diabolical minion immediately teleported inches way in front of her, stopping her at her tracks. She went the other way, but she was grabbed from behind. Her mouth was covered, barely making her screams audible. She kept struggling to escape Doommaster's strong grip, but she couldn't escape no matter how hard she thrashed. They were taken away to a location unknown. From the other side, Tyler, Clot, and the commander stood by waiting for the rest of their team to show up. One of them pointed out the distant canopy shaking. Noticing it could be a sign of a struggle, Mr. Steel led them away from their hideout. By the time they arrived, Scary Ice and his groups were defeated. The old master and the Vixens have overmatched us and taken Cheetah away. Stop them! Oh no! Cheetah! Where did they take her? Scary Ice only lifted a finger and then succumbed to his injuries. She was taken to a cliff with a body of deep water 15 feet below. Despair and the Vixens watched as her feet were slipping. She was also doing whatever she could to prevent herself from falling off the eroding edge, since she was Egyptian when she was created. Ah, the cheetah! So majestic and mighty and worshipped by all. But she is definitely far too inferior to match up with those sacred animals. Even the VR troopers. She cannot swim, and neither would a cat. A cheetah may be a mighty feline, but she is only a puny little cub. Say goodbye to your friends, little kitty. You're all washed up. Fare thee well, furball. Then dropped her. She fell, then plunged to the deep lake below, drowning as she was flailing her limbs trying to keep herself afloat, only to have another of her virtual powers spontaneously activate. Tiny microscopic hairs started to grow on her fingertips. By the time they did, they allowed her to attach herself to the rocky terrain. She broke the surface as her fingers made a strong clasp. She was able to resurface with little time to spare. She noticed the newly grown needle-like material. After a few minutes catching her breath and receiving air to her excruciating lungs, she was able to scale the cliff to the top, where it was empty from Grimlord's generals. Teller alerted the trio almost as though he was losing breath. Troopers, I have some difficult news to tell you. It's Cheetah. Grimlord's thugs had taken her, and some of the mutants lost their vitals trying to protect her. What? No. Dad, we need to transform and get her out of there. I'll lock onto Cheetah's coordinates. Oh, man. I found her. What? He saw her drenched and confused, but she was just wandering away from the lake. Dad, she's all right. What? Son, are you certain? She's okay. We steer walking away from the water. Oh, thank goodness. I need to retrieve her, but under no circumstances do not engage the enemy. All right, Dad. I hope you two can make it back in one piece. He immediately saw Cheetah and Tyler alive and well. She, on the other hand, was a bit bewildered and dumbfounded. Everyone cheered on their return, though she couldn't remember how to turn back in her retro form. Then Ryan pointed it out. She sat on the long examination table. She caved in and broke down. Friends were right by her side, even though she doubted she wanted to be a trooper again. After a while, she was still admiring Tyler's awesome ingenuity. He did save her life twice, just moments apart, utilizing the cheetah's natural abilities. She herself doesn't make a good climber. She never even said a single action. He reminded them it was experimental, and he mentioned that cheetahs can make excellent climbers, and runners with this setae she could scale any surface she never thought possible. Unfortunately, some of the mutants' best linebackers, including Scary Eyes, have perished. I dread for the worst. With the techies' new programming, and as long as they're in Zector's hands, virtual technology will be more powerful than we can ever imagine. I can't wait to mash these machines into space dust. They might as well perish along with their lifeless world they walk on. No, we mustn't destroy them. Listen to me. We need to spare their lives. It's the only way we can have an advantage in this war. Instead, they need to be incapacitated so they can be reprogrammed to our side. Grimlord would send out his more powerful cadets later, as with the coaches. They'll deploy their stronger teams. The Psycho Slashers, Screaming Evils, Slay City Slayers, Misfit Demons, and the Midway Monsters. But we must continue our fight without their good kickers and runners, but with a pure heart and a clear mind. There's a better way of infiltrating Zictor Industries and crush the Green Prism within. If you've seen The Quest for Power, you should know this. Because it was still a Halloween season, the timing couldn't be more convenient. He prompted Cheetah to go as a trick-or-treater in a cheetah costume, while she could bring a few mutants along using their costumes as a ploy. Without that prism, there'd be no more of Grimlord's powers. Tyler looked into Ryan's eyes and apologized that he felt he abandoned him after spending a decade apart. Never wanted to end this way. From always traveling the world for finding better ways to seize Grimlord, to being brainwashed into a monster and operating his army. He wished he could make up for all the sins he bared if he could, even though he couldn't change the past. Ryan would never want it any other way. He didn't mention his real name and vowed to keep a secret, otherwise he'd be screwed if he'd find out. She'll be killed either way anyway. Regardless, Tyler was glad he finally did. He and Ryan embraced each other, but it was short-lived as an alarm went off. What's going on? Grimlord has broken into the reality barrier. His troops are heading right this way. If they should progress further, then we must evacuate. No! We can't abandon the laboratory, Professor. Nor you. Grimlord may win this battle, Caitlin, but we must survive to ensure he won't win this war. Everyone tried to take in his words, though the alarm kept crying red alert as they needed to face their worst fear. Both the lab and the professor were about to be demolished off the face of both worlds. I'm afraid I'm not much of a tech genius, but I found some inspirations like Reboot, The Real Adventures of Johnny Quest, and even Digimon, even though I'm not a huge fan. I'm not into Tron either. And it's quite fascinating that I would use the VR Troopers as like an early innovation of virtual technology, even before today. I was very frustrated that Ryan went all the way on discovering Grimlord's true identity, as well as the moments from the two-parter Grimlord's Dark Secret. The audience knows about Grimlord's true identity, but not the troopers themselves. And it got cancelled. I figured only Hart and Tyler only knew and were just afraid to reveal it, So naturally, I rearranged some things around involving the mutants. Another episode done, and since it's episodic, I want it to be a format of a mini-series. So stay tuned for the next chapter. Until then, this is the Ecron Writer signing out. Just